We're in for a night view.
You trying to talk to this? Somebody else. Like laughing. That's right, Joe. Now we know where we look for tracks of owner for sure. I heard them cross the creek. That he could use. There's two of them across the creek at the big rocks. It's a hard act to follow. He sounds like he talks to us and they talk to each other. Yeah. Right there, I just seen movement right through there.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pumpkin Patch. I'm the Beastly Pumpkin. Today we'll be going over the top 5 best audio recordings of an alleged Bigfoot. Most encounters of the legendary Bigfoot result in a short video clip where the creature runs away, with no sound to be found. But throughout history, and all the way up to present day, there have been a few recordings claiming to capture what the alleged creature sounds like. Most of these sounds range from howls to screams, even to grunts. All of these recordings claim to have caught a Bigfoot scream or howl on their audio. This first audio clip was taken by Al Berry and Ron Moorhead in a Sierra Nevada camp in California in 1972. They claimed to have seen some Bigfoots running through the hills. They pulled out what recorder they did have, and they tried to capture the strange noises that they were hearing from the hills. Listen closely. As strange as that may sound, in the same year of 1972, very similar recordings were captured in the state of Oregon. Listen closely.
They're essentially trying to get as much of a response from whatever these things are out in the middle of the woods that these guys know like the back of their hands. Hearing wood on wood, louder than hell. Who knows how big these, logs that they're slamming against one another. And this language that almost sounds like the closest thing that I know that it might sound like is maybe Asian, but I mean, real weird tone, like if it was like some type of Asian language but backwards. I don't know how to describe it. It was one of the first of its kind. I haven't heard any other examples like this. Now there might be some out there. It just means I haven't heard it. Do I believe in Bigfoot? Yes. I believe there's something out there. Have we found a body? No. But I remember when I first joined Facebook, because I like all the paranormal topics. I've discussed this many a times. I had joined a private group, the Bigfoot group. Was a member there for years. Up until about 2 years ago, Nuke's Top 10 was posting a video about cryptids. And the screenshot, or the little, what do you call it? Well, yeah, I mean, the little picture that you're going to put as your icon, for people to click on. It was obvious to everybody that it was completely just fake. The cat, the little screenshot. It wasn't, a picture of a real Bigfoot. It was just almost close to an animation of a Bigfoot. The content is what had mattered. And all these people start coming at me like I'm freaking fly on shit. Like, oh, that is so fake and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you're supposed to click it. It's not a real picture. I think that is the purpose of this. Like, you could tell exactly. That's what it's called. The thumbnail. You could tell that it's purposely made to look like that. But it's a content inside. Long story short, this lady chimes in, does some of the racial stuff. And they come out and they really get my back. They're like, oh, Cisco's been part of this group for blah, 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 and so. And they were really, cool about it and everything. And then the shit started up right over again. And then they kicked me out. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I've never once have had like a problem with people or had all this shit talk to me and all this. It's a thumbnail. Click the content. It's really cool. And one guy comes on there and like, oh, you're probably one of those people that believe that you need a body in order to believe it. Well, dude, I'm not going to take your fucking word for it. You know, you tell me that, hey, I can prove to you I have $1 billion. Okay, well, let me see it. Well, no, I mean, I could just prove to you, I have $1 billion. Okay, well, do you have something that I can validate that with? Or, hey, I have this real rare Ferrari. All right, cool. Let me check it out. Oh, you got to take my word for it. Doesn't exactly go well. If you know what I mean. Validate it. And we have yet to capture one. But one thing that I've realized is from Colorado, when you're flying out west to California, the vastness of all of the trees and the mountains and everything. I mean, there are so many places that people have never ever touched. Who knows what the hell is out there? Who knows if this is, as they have said many, many times, I mean, they keep on finding new subspecies of the Neanderthals, which we I don't believe in evolution, which we supposedly evolved into what we are today. Now, I think evolution and adaptation need to be used differently because animals and people adapt doesn't necessarily mean we have evolved. One and the two, that's going a little too deep. But anyways, if these things are smart, curious, of course we're going to want to know, what the hell are these things that walk upright like us? What the hell are they doing? I mean, I've heard reports of sheriffs going out there looking after getting reports and getting chased by things. I've heard reports from, very credible witnesses. I don't know if you recall a TV show back in the day, at the height of Mythbusters, this used to come on, Survivor Man, where, he would take his own camera and, show how to survive in the wilderness for X amount of days and this and that. Well, on one of his episodes, he heard something and he was convinced it was Bigfoot. Now he's hardcore into Bigfoot. That's all he does on his YouTube channel, the guy who used to do Survivor Man. So I'd have to give a yes to Bigfoot. One, so many people in the Northwest. There's been a couple sightings here in Colorado. Down south, you have your skunk ape. Russia, you have your Yeti. Nepal, the abominable snowman. In different parts of the world, they always describe a giant, bipedal, hairy-ass creature. When you have that many people reporting the same thing, it's kind of hard to discredit it. They say it's kind of hard to find the bones of bears. So, what if these bodies are scavenged by predators if they die? That's why we haven't found anything. I know there have been hair samples taken. I know there have been a lot of other things taken that some of them show, it's just your average, average animal in the forest, or it was inconclusive. So that doesn't give you very many answers, because inconclusive doesn't mean that it's a species we never found. It just means it's inconclusive. So before going on in the next one, I would say yes. I absolutely do believe in Bigfoot. So for the next creature I want to talk about that has been around North America for many years is a Wendigo. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have heard of it, but this also comes from ancient Native American folklore. It is supposed to be this large, bipedal, grayish, skin-colored, almost looking as if, it has rotting flesh, who can mimic certain voices of people that he hear or whatever it hears to lure in unsuspecting victims, as it has a lustful taste for humans. Now, I haven't seen very much evidence for the Wendigo's existence. I've heard stories of people camping. I've heard stories of what they think they sound like. So this creature has been purported for many, many years. Started from folklore of Native American indigenous people who believed that it was, from what I could recall from hearing about it before, were like people who committed bad things in life, and that's kind of like their reincarnation to come back as this beast, and it's not to be mistaken with the Skinwalker. Two totally, different, different creatures. So while I was doing a little bit of research, I ran across this page that talked about it in more detail because I personally don't believe in the Wendigo, but perhaps this might change my mind. So let's watch this together.
The ancient beliefs of Native American peoples mentioned the existence of a creature that appeared to be the incarnation of a nightmare. This terrible monster lived in the icy forests of the north, where
I'm sure you guys have heard the true story about the plane of soccer players that crashed in the Alps. I don't want to say Alps, in the mountains, who basically turned to cannibalism because they were starving. I think they were trapped up there for what, like 100 and some days, something crazy like that, and they survived by eating, their fellow friends, I guess you could call them, or passengers. I mean, if I had a choice to die or eat someone else to live, I'd probably just say fuck it and die. I don't think I could bring myself to eat somebody else. In fact, there was a channel called Night Mind. 3 other of them collaborated on a video and had studied about cannibalistic people who asked, they asked, what does human flesh taste like? And so they kind of described, and the best thing they could come up with was like a hamburger with like ground pork and something else. And so they cooked it into like a burger form. I don't know if they had psyched themselves out that when they ate it, they were getting all sick, but it was awful from what they said. And knowing, the diseases that the human body carries, knowing how bad, our biological substance, whenever, we bleed, could stop everybody in their tracks. I used to work in a hospital, so, I kind of know how that goes. You have to have the biological cleanup. I mean, just knowing all the things that we carry, and to eat somebody else, that would just scare the living shit out of me. That, okay, would I rather die of starvation or rather, die of some fucking disease that I contracted, and it's just awful. So that's my take on this, and I don't blame the people for doing what they did to survive, but I mean, that would be a hard choice. So I searched far and wide for a story on the Wendigo to see if there's ever been any captured on film. There was, and there is, and so I'm going to go ahead and show that coming up next. Okay, so here are 5 reported incidences of Wendigos caught on camera. So let's take a look to see if it actually would change my mind. Better start working now. I mean, it's uploading. I don't know why it would slow down.
People have always had an interest in the mysterious and the unknown. Among these mysteries have been the belief in creatures that look just under the public consciousness, possibly yet undiscovered. These creatures are often referred to as cryptids, as they fall under cryptozoology. There are some well-known cryptids such as the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and the Chupacabra, just to name a few. One cryptid that is often discussed is the Wendigo. It's stalky, white, and humanoid in appearance, and with the great thing that is the internet, there have been plenty of videos claiming to have caught these creatures on tape. Today I would like to take a look at some of these pieces of footage. These are 5 Wendigos caught on camera. Number 5. Wendigo on property. Back in the fall of 2011, a man had been hearing some strange sounds coming from his property for a few months. Living miles away from the nearest town, he was used to the sounds of nature, but this was different. One night he decided to venture out and investigate the source of the noise with his camera.
Quiet. Back is that? Oh my god!
When he posted this online, he said that he was convinced that he got footage of an alien, but the online community of cryptid enthusiasts claimed that this creature seems to fit the description of a Wendigo. What do you think he saw that night? Was it an alien, Wendigo, or something else? Number 4. Camping Wendigo. In 2009, a video surfaced showing some people camping in the woods. One of the campers seems to be recording his friend when something moves in the background, seemingly spying on the campers.
Well, you've been sharpening for like 2 hours. You hear something?
The dog.
Okay.
Probably should have it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take pictures.
After the creature moves to the right, you can hear one of the campers say that he thought he heard a dog, though what the cameraman caught was certainly not that. Some people say that this is yet more footage of a Wendigo, while others say that this was just a hoax. What do you think? Number 3. Quebec Wendigo. I couldn't find much information on the next video aside from the fact that it was filmed in the woods outside of Quebec, Canada. The video shows yet another group of people camping near an abandoned house when someone shouts that they saw something spying on them.
La flashlight! Vite, bring la flashlight! Fuck, c'était quoi?
They go to investigate, and what they call on camera is quick, but nonetheless pretty chilling.
Shoulder! Oh shit! You!
As you can see, when he turns the corner, something seems to be peeking around before dashing away. They give chase, and as they turn to the left, whatever it was is gone. Number 2. Juvenile Wendigo. This next video surfaced in the fall of 2017. You can see a man filming himself riding his bike around the gardens of his town. However, he is almost brought down by some creature that almost collides with him. You can see that he is definitely startled, and when he turns around to see what almost hit him, it is gone. Some people say that this could just be an escaped monkey of some sort, while others say it could be a juvenile Wendigo. What do you think he almost hit? Before we get to number 1, I'd just like to take a moment and ask, if you're enjoying the video, that you please give it a like. And if you would like to see more videos like this in the future, subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of the next time I upload. You can also follow me on Twitter at 2spooky4u5. Also, if you would like to support the channel directly, consider donating to us on Patreon at 2spooky4uyt. All donations go to helping the channel grow and get better, and there are also some stretch goals that, if reached, will help fund a documentary on a local legend known as Raymeyer's Hollow. Thank you for your support. Number 1. Wendigo in the Woods. This video shows someone exploring what appears to be the roof of an abandoned building in the middle of the woods. He is taking in the view when something catches his eye.
it's pixelated, but
Zooming in, you can see a skinny gray creature stalking through the woods that certainly fits the description of a Wendigo. Also, the way it walks just sends chills down the spine. And there you have it. 5 Wendigos caught on tape. What did you think of these clips? Could they be proof that the Wendigo does indeed exist?
now for me personally, I don't believe it. I know it's another Native American folklore. You have your Navajo who believe skinwalkers, and it didn't necessarily mention what tribes believed in the Wendigo, but it's another Native American folklore. No reason for them to lie, but also perhaps trying to instill good behaviors in their tribe so they wouldn't be reincarnated as these evil monsters. But I haven't seen nearly a quarter of what, people have, reported, like, oh yeah, this is Bigfoot captured on video, or, oh, there's tons of Bigfoot videos out there, Bigfoot sounds, all that. And I had known that the Wendigo, copies or mimics a person's voice to try to lure in its victims. It'll sound like one of their friends or whatever, and that's how it lures in its victims. But never heard any sounds of the sort yet ever being recorded. And with today's technology, and for many people have cameras and waiting for anything to go viral, I mean, I would think that somebody would have it. But for me personally, I'd have to put, a no on that one for me. So let's move on to the next one. All right, this is day 1 million on this messed up diet. I can't even move. Oh wait, this is a YouTube video. So to continue down my content of creatures, this one was pretty interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because it has something to do with movies. And I never would have put the two together, but just by scrounging around, looking through different books and YouTube, kind of made sense. So, the Chupacabra. I'm sure you guys have heard about the Chupacabra about 100,000 times. This really made sense. Okay, I'm not trying to block up the whole screen here, but let me see how much of this that I could show you guys. So, it's watching this video that I'm sure you guys wouldn't find very exciting, but it was about this kid in South America who basically started claiming, like every other cult leader would, that he found all the secrets to the Bible and immortality and what life was about, and then it just went on to aliens and all this other weird stuff. He came from a family of money, and I think his parents bought him his house. Real nice house. His room was like, he had a sculptor make this big statue of himself, almost like in a Obi-Wan Kenobi type robe, and had all this weird, his own version of hieroglyphics. And of course you could learn the secrets of this power if you bought his books in a PDF format. I mean, you guys kind of know where this is going. How many people have tried this? The kid disappears for 30 days. One of those guys who thought, oh, and you know what? I'm going to go live off of sunlight. I could do this. He comes back all emancipated. All freaking... He was already thin as hell as could possibly be, but then he was even a lot more thinner. And, dehydrated and all that. And at first, people were blaming his family and all this. And what it was he was essentially trying to pull off a stunt to try to get people to buy his books, and people thought that his dad was in on it because his dad didn't show very much emotions, but in the background his dad was like torn up, like, you know, my son's been gone for like 20 some days now. Usually 9 times out of 10 that's not a good thing. Where I'm going with all of this is I am going to say around this time, where does a chupacabra become, I guess, fascinating amongst North Americans? Do you guys remember the time? Early 90s? At the time in South America is where we started hearing about this goat sucker. In Mexico, we started hearing about this ghost sucker. Did you guys know that the #1 movie at the time in both countries was a little movie with a beautiful actress called Species? Now, take a look. Not at her boobs, but at the way cinematically they make this look. Now, do you know how they describe the chupacabra? I don't know if you guys remember. But here is a good example of how the chupacabra was always described. Reddish eyes, spines on its back, grayish in color. I mean, pretty similar. That's from a different movie. So, what this guy postulated was, around the time that this movie came out, and at the time that this movie was #1 in South America, Mexico, a lot of people started reporting these chupacabra sightings, and they were all described like this. So, here are the top 5 chupacabra encounters caught on tape.
Chupacabra, one of the most famous cryptids of all time. Known as the ravenous vampiric monster, reports of it have been pouring in from the Americas since 1995. In this video, we'll talk about some of the scary cryptid. Let us know in the comments below how you would react to such a frightening encounter. Be sure to subscribe for more horror stories in the future, and let's get the video started. Number 5. Mexico. There have been plenty of sightings of the chupacabra in Mexico. The chupacabra gets its name from chupar, meaning to suck, and cabras, meaning goat. Many of the sightings here have been confirmed as simply canines with mange. However, the chupacabra has a little more definition to it than that, featuring big, imposing spines on its back and leathery, almost reptilian skin.
It's mange.
That can't be explained with simple mange.
Yes, it can.
Perhaps the most famous legend of the chupacabra is that its prey seems to be totally drained of blood. However, this has never been really confirmed. But what do you think? Does the blood-sucking nature of the chupacabra frighten you? Number 4. Puerto Rico. The chupacabra's original point of origin, mysterious creatures have been terrorizing Puerto Rican citizens, with corpses of creatures resembling the cryptid turning up all over. While some believed it to be a large cat, hunting and eating people's beloved pets, others were convinced it was a chupacabra terrorizing the animals and locals of Rio Piedras. Take a look at some of this footage. Do you think these are really chupacabras? How would you defend yourself against a chupacabra?
It's got a gun.
Number 3. Mississippi. Something between a zombie and a dog. This cryptid has been sighted in Picayune, Mississippi. Jennifer Whitfield and her son, who had the alleged chupacabra caught on tape, were a little frightened. Other citizens reported running to and from their cars to avoid being caught by a chupacabra while out and about. Agents from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks don't think this is a real chupacabra though, just a coyote with mange. In fact, instead of some vicious predator, this coyote is likely weaker and sicker than other coyotes, which is what sent it into town in the first place, as food is easier to come by when there are people around. Still, agents encouraged people to stay away if they saw anything that looked like a chupacabra. Whether or not it truly was the vicious beast, it's still a dangerous animal. How would you react if you saw a chupacabra?
Yeah, ask that question.
Number 2, Texas. The idea of this terrifying beast is more prevalent in the Americas, and according to some reports in Texas, it's on the prowl and very real. Photos show a hairless canine with a long tail and pointy ears lurking around neighborhoods in Houston. Claude Griffin, a pest control worker, claims that these chupacabra sightings are nothing more than native animals, like coyotes and wolves, bred with domesticated dogs. These crossbred animals are let into the wild so people can report them as chupacabras. Members of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service hope to safely trap these animals to give them proper veterinary treatment and take care of them. Who would you call if you found a chupacabra in your backyard? Number 1, Ukraine. Normally, chupacabra sightings take place in North America, especially as that is the country of origin for the chupacabra. However, in 2012, there was a sighting of a strange mutant animal shot by hunters. Locals claim it is in fact a chupacabra, while others say it might be some sort of a mutant fox with a longer neck and shorter front legs. And of course, sharper, fang-like teeth. Others say it could be an animal from a Soviet plant tested on with chemical weapons that are in development and that it escaped from a secret defense lab. No one knows what the animal really is, but the teeth made it unidentifiable by any known species out there. Do you think this is a real chupacabra, a lab rat from a secret weapon, or just a strange fox? Let us know. Thanks for watching the video so far.
Now, to the lovely state of New Jersey we go. Never been, so I'm not going to talk shit about it. I am the type of person, I think since the fact that I've lived in Colorado my whole life, I don't like to be around a shit ton of people. And with New York so close, yeah, I'm not claustrophobic, I'm not, afraid to be in crowds, and none of that bothers me. It's just I also like to have like my own bubble of space to just do things. Like when I go walking at night, I'm walking without anybody in my way. There's no one outside, whatever. I know for a fact that if I were in New York, that would not really happen. So, little up the ways from New York, or what is it, east of New York? No, it can't be east, that's the coast, like northwest or west. I really suck when it came to freaking social studies. Isn't that what studying maps was on? Anyways, it's been 20 some years since school. New Jersey, famously known for the Jersey Devil. Their NHL pro team is called the Devils. If you guys don't know the story, it started off, I want to say somewhere around the 15, 16, 1700s. Mrs. Leeds had 12 children. She got pregnant and essentially said, even though, can't find this in quotes anywhere besides the story being passed down, but let God curse this child to be, the devil and be out of my life as soon as possible. So there's two accounts to this story. The child was born normal, but in a very short amount of time, it progressively started to develop a tail and a pointy tail. It started to develop legs like that of a goat, a long body like that of a kangaroo shape, wings like a bat, a long snout, almost like a Great Dane, or some have even said maybe like a long snout, like a moose almost, with very sharp teeth, great hearing, great eyesight, great senses, and it haunts the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. Now, for this story being as old as it is, and for there not to have been any, and again, we haven't had any definitive proof of anything else that I've talked about in this video, but there have been more so-on-call sightings that we have seen. Now, there was a show way back in the day, Linda Blair, who played the little girl on The Exorcist. She used to host it. This was out like maybe 15, 16 years ago, and I forgot what it was called. But there was this team in New Jersey that their specific goal was to hunt the Jersey Devil. So they had submitted, what they wanted to do to this TV show, and this TV show went with them. Well, the leader of the group was a young lady, and I guess somehow they took her instead of the rest of the group, since she was the leader of the group. And as they're filming her, they start hearing these weird noises. I honestly think it was edited for TV, because she comes back and she sees something, but her whole life at this point, not her whole life, but a large majority of her life at this point has been dedicated to trying to find answers about the Jersey Devil. Is it real, or is it just a myth? Well, she comes back petrified, so much so that she doesn't want to say what she's seen. That really bothered me when I seen that. I'm like, what the fudge, man? I'm sitting here watching this thing about the Jersey Devil, and you're telling me this girl probably may have seen him, who, wanted to validate to the world that, yeah, there's such thing as a Jersey Devil, but she doesn't want to say what she saw. And, she's obscured. No, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to tell you what her name was or even how she looked. I just remember her being so frightened by something, and the TV crew being frightened by something, that she never wanted to talk about it again. So let's see a story on the Jersey Devil that might sound somewhat plausible, I guess. But again, it's really hard because there have not been a lot of photos of the so-called Jersey Devil. Okay, so this was not what I was expecting. They found an animal carcass, and I came across this. Share. The Pine Barrens lost its top predators, black bears, cougars, and wolves, long ago to hunting and trapping, though black bears are still seen occasionally. Okay, I didn't read the whole thing. I was going to wait to do it with you guys together. But, okay, they found a carcass. There is a marginal possibility that it could have been a black bear kill, since they're omnivores. So, large mammals are now restricted to white-tailed deer, coyotes, the rare bobcat, beavers, and elusive river otters. Of course, a river otter isn't going to tear carcass to shreds, and neither is a raccoon, unless it were like smaller than the raccoon is. But okay, you have a 50-50 chance here, I'll give you that. I'm missing a drink.
Did you hear something? Where? Something with Isaac. Well.
There he is. There he goes.
You're right.
Mike, you filming this?
I can't get it. Whatever it is, it's getting closer. I keep telling you guys that.
Yeah, it is getting closer.
Looks like a big eyeball.
Hold still.
And it's moving too. My flashlight. What is it?
I'll put a stop to this. Stay on radio.
Be very careful.
What I never got was why she pursues it alone. That's why I think this was just a made-for-TV episode, just to get viewerships from her reaction. Sorry if I was talking over that. Sorry if I was talking over that. Here we go. Safety in numbers.
To this day, Laura refuses to talk about what she saw that night in the Pine Barrens.
People can see and think they saw different things. Lo and behold, she got her wish. The devil does exist.
So this next one is another American cryptid. Now, similar to the Jersey Devil, there's not very many credible photographs or footage of this supposed monster, but it was made popular back between 1966 and 1967 of a creature that had giant wings, huge red eyes, and standed upright. Looked like it walked bipedal. He was named the Mothman. It wasn't until around 1970s, mid-70s, like 75, 73, somewhere around there, that a book was made called The Mothman Prophecies. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but a movie later came out about the Mothman entitled The Mothman Prophecies. And the sighting of this Mothman had always been, to people who've seen it, an omen of bad things to come. When they spotted it in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the bridge collapsed, killing, I wanted to say 60, but I think that's an overgross amount. I want to say 60, but I think it was 16 individuals. And next time it was sighted, something else bad happened. And so it started gaining that type of reputation that if you've seen it, you know, something bad was going to happen. Not necessarily to you, but just in general. And I always found this very interesting, even though this is based on the Mothman. I'm sure the book was fictional, and the writing, I don't ever remember the Mothman saying, you know, the movie Mothman Prophecies opening up saying, you know, based on a true story. It may have said based on true events, but the scene right here always intrigued me. So let's give it a look.
Hello, John Klein.
Who is this?
My name is Indrid Cole.
Yes, of course, you're Gordon Smallwood.
Your father was born in Racine, Wisconsin. He lived in a green house on Monroe Street. You don't remember how your mother looked.
Okay, you got my attention. Where's my watch?
In your shoe. Under the bed.
I always found that part so cool, so intriguing. Now, let's look at reported sightings of the Mothman. So if you're not familiar with Slap Tam, I would suggest you guys go and definitely follow him. 3 million views. He comes out with a lot. All his content is about poltergeist. It's all about paranormal stuff. Every single video. But he does a good job. He's probably like maybe my second favorite after Nukes. But this one's all based on Mothman. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a like, give him his dues. Thank you, appreciate it. Gonna give him his credit. Damn it. I need to do it over. Alright, let's hear what this is all about.
Callan, and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at the history, mythology, as well as some recent sightings of the legendary Mothman. And we ask the question, could this creature really exist? But before we jump into this fascinating story, remember to hit that subscribe button for more awesome, creepy content just like this.
Yep, definitely do that.
The Mothman is a well-known figure in popular culture, even making it to the big screen in 2002 in a movie starring Richard Gere. It's described as a creature that looks largely like a man, with glistening feathered wings. The mysterious creature has been part of West Virginia folklore since as early as 1914. However, many people aren't aware of just how pervasive its history really is. Most descriptions of the creature suggest that it's an entity that is some combination of man and bird, with a wingspan of as much as 10 feet. Most people who have seen it note that it has glowing red eyes set far apart in its head. In many stories of the creature, it seems to be frightened of light, much like a common moth. Most who have seen the creature have done so at night or from far away, so it's always shrouded in darkness. The sight of a large winged creature with glowing red eyes is terrifying, bringing to mind images of demons from hell. What is even more terrifying is the effect that the Mothman can have on those who encounter it. Being too close to the creature is said to cause confusion, extreme fear, and other psychological distress that can lead to insanity or even death. When in the air, the creature is fast. Some who have seen it claim that it flies upwards of 100 miles per hour.
Wow.
However, they're thankful to note that it's quite clumsy on foot, so it's possible to outrun it if you can force it to the ground. Some believe that the creature is the same as one who is known as the Grinning Man, a shadowy entity that grins eerily at those who see it. The Grinning Man is believed to be some sort of alien, and many believe that Mothman sightings often correlate with UFO activity. However, the Grinning Man is known for its ability to run at high speeds, which doesn't fit with most accounts of the Mothman. Although legends of the Mothman date back far earlier in the area of West Virginia that the creature calls home, it didn't become truly famous until a string of sightings beginning in late 1966 that terrorized the area for over a year. The first of the famous sightings of the Mothman took place on November 12, 1966. What is truly remarkable about this first sighting is that not one, not two, but 5 people were all present when the creature showed itself. All 5 tell the same story. They were working late at a cemetery near Clendenin, West Virginia, digging a grave, the perfect setting for a monster sighting. As they worked, they were startled when a large man-like creature swooped down over their heads. They didn't get a close look at the creature, but they were terrified by its size and speed. Their frightening encounter set off a chain of sightings that would terrorize their West Virginia community for months. The next day in Salem, West Virginia, over 100 miles away from the first sighting, a man named Merle Partridge had his own terrifying encounter with the monster. This time, the creature did more than just frighten its witnesses. While Partridge was watching television, the audio suddenly began emitting a high-pitched screeching sound. Around the same time, his dog started wildly barking outside. When Partridge went out to investigate, he was horrified to discover a creature with glowing red eyes flying towards the woods. His dog chased the creature into the woods and was never seen again, despite his owner's careful search of the surrounding area. 2 days later, on November 15th, 1967, two young couples were driving together near Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when the car's headlights revealed what they described as a large grey creature with glowing red eyes. They said it was like a large flying man with 10-foot wings, and claimed that it chased their car for several miles before disappearing. Over the next few days, numerous other sightings were reported. Volunteer firefighters claimed to have seen a large bird with red eyes. A contractor pointed his flashlight at a similar creature and said its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. He even claims that the creature made off with his dog. The sightings continued, and on December 15, 1967, a tragedy struck the area that, at first, appeared to be unrelated to the Mothman. The Silver Bridge, which connects Point Pleasant with the nearby city of Conaga, Ohio, suddenly collapsed, killing 46 people. Later analysis showed a small crack that eventually corroded, damaging the structural integrity of the bridge. Although this appears to be a simple accident, many believe that the earlier sightings of the area's winged cryptid were related to the disaster. However, instead of blaming the creature for the disaster, the locals began to believe that its appearance was meant to warn them. This led to the belief that Mothman sightings are an omen of tragedies to come. On September 10, 1978, West Virginia's winged cryptid made an appearance far from home. A group of miners in Freiburg, Germany encountered a winged creature with glowing red eyes in front of the mine's exit. The creature let out a screech before flying away. The men were terrified and quickly fled from the mine. An hour later, the mine collapsed. In September 2006, the creature appeared in La Crosse, Wisconsin. A man driving with his son down a deserted road claims that a fleshy, bat-like creature with sparse hair and red eyes attacked their car as they were driving along. It let out a screech that gave the two vertigo and nausea, forcing them to pull over. In 2016, a photo provided by an anonymous source was published by a television station in West Virginia. The man who submitted the photo claims he witnessed the Mothman. This is some footage that was allegedly filmed in Beijing, China more than a decade ago. The uploader claims it to be the elusive Mothman flying through the night sky.
It's filmed on a potato.
In the footage, you can see a glowing object flying through the sky. Whatever it is, it appears to be humanoid in shape. The creature is flapping a pair of giant wings as it glides through the air. Sadly, the video quality is extremely low, so opinions have been divided. Some believe it to be footage of a dollhouse with a real moth hovering above it. Others thought it was a bird or plane. Some viewers, however, thought the footage was real, calling it a genuine glimpse at the legendary Mothman.
Nope, not me.
Over the years, the Mothman has been linked to numerous disasters, leading many to believe that it's a harbinger of catastrophe. The first incidents of its omens date back to 1926. People living near the Changte Dam in China reported seeing a winged flying man above the dam in the days before the dam collapsed, killing approximately 15,000 people.
Oh my god.
On April 26, 1986, one of the most devastating tragedies the world has ever seen became global news. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant experienced massive system failures that put the lives of millions of people in danger. The actual death toll for the accident and preceding fallout ranges from 4,000 to 200,000. Could it have been avoided? Numerous people reported seeing a large black bird-like creature with red eyes flying around the plant on the day of the accident. The creature is said to have visited Russia again in 1999. Sightings of a winged creature were reported shortly before 4 apartment blocks were bombed in Bayansk, Moscow and Volgodonsk, killing 293 people. On September 11, 2001, the world was rocked by yet another devastating tragedy, when several airplanes were hijacked and crashed into the World Trade Centers in New York and the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C. The death toll for this tragedy was close to 3,000, and the consequences of this act are still felt today. However, many claim that the Mothman provided a warning on the day of the attack. It was allegedly seen flying near the World Trade Center, and some claim it was even flying parallel to one of the planes used in the attack. In 2007, the creature is said to have appeared in Minneapolis, Minnesota, flying around the I-35W bridge. A month later, the bridge collapsed, killing 13 and injuring 145 people. Then, in March of 2009, 2 women in Mexico heard the creature's telltale screech while walking in an apple orchard near a cemetery. A passerby chased the creature but was unable to catch a glimpse. Shortly after this sighting, a swine flu pandemic broke out in Mexico, resulting in 400 deaths. And in 2011, it's alleged the creature visited another nuclear power plant, this time in Okuma, Japan. Witnesses reported seeing a black winged creature with red eyes swooping down on them near the plant. The creature's presence filled them with dread. Days later, an earthquake rocked the area. The plant was damaged in the earthquake and released radioactive materials, resulting in 573 deaths. Before we get to our conclusion about this fascinating cryptid, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be completely up to date with all our latest videos. Some psychologists have noted that the Mothman bears a strong resemblance to archetypal depictions of demons that have long been part of just about every culture on Earth. They believe that the sightings of the creature can be explained away as the result of overactive imaginations, projecting this common image onto something the person can't explain. Others, such as Dr. Robert L. Smith, Associate Professor of Wildlife Biology at West Virginia University, believe that the creature is just a common bird. Some possibilities include a large heron or a sandhill crane. They state that the glowing red eyes that the creature bears could just be the result of light from other sources reflecting off the eyes of the bird.
That's true.
Is it possible that this creature that has gripped our collective imagination and fueled our nightmares since the 60s is just a product of our imaginations? Maybe. However, those who have seen it insist that the creature is something not of this world. After all, how could a simple bird accurately predict so many tragedies? As it stands, we may never know the truth about this elusive creature.